Hello, everyone, for OneWrestling.com. Welcome to the Apter Chat. And I found this guy at Legends of the Ring walking around the lobby. Wandering around the lobby, and he said, "Excuse me, Mr. Apter, do you remember me?" And I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm the kid that said, you remember the picture
of..." I had a subscription to your magazines back in...
Well, it wasn't only that. He had a picture of himself with a Band-Aid on his head and holding a replica NWA belt, imitating the cover of NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, and sent that to me. Yeah. And today he came over and introduced himself, and you are the Heartbreak Kid.
And we've used that picture on TV. We used it in the me and Rick storyline, and heck, it's in my DVDs and stuff like that. They've got some mileage out of that bad boy.
You know, it's funny because when I look back at all the years that I've known you, and one of the questions I was going to ask you to start with was, how did the term the Heartbreak Kid come about? But I wanted to ask you, did you ever see that movie, the original movie?
I've never seen the movie. There have been times I've seen it. Now
the original, not the remake.
Okay, well, no. All I've ever seen was like people telling me that it was a Ben Stiller movie, the Heartbreak Kid, which I think is the remake.
Yeah, this was the original movie had Sybil Shepherd. I was madly in love with her.
Really? Yeah. No, I have. I'm so clueless on a lot of stuff. But the original name came from Curt Hennig on commentary. Curt said it one time, and Curt got it. It wasn't long after he had said it on TV when he and Vince were doing commentary, and then at one point he and I are riding together, and he lets me know that he said it, and this was back when heck, we still sick in the cassette tape.
Yeah. I remember. I still have those.
But it was from a Chris Ledoux song. It was just a line, in a Chris Ledoux song that he had mentioned. He said, "This felt like it fits you." And he says, "You do whatever you want with it." And we didn't really know. I mean, at that time, it was like, and I, in my mind, I'm not picturing myself as, as the character I ended up being. You always sort of envision yourself being a little rougher and tougher. But, then all of a sudden on promos, I just started saying it. Started coming out, and then, it went from there.
Yeah, so I was curious if you ever saw the movie. You talk about Curt Hennig and all the years that he spent in the AWA, and you, of course, spending all that time in the AWA. And recently, we're taping this in June 2015 at the Crowne Plaza Hotel in beautiful downtown Monroe, New Jersey, of course. And recently we lost Vern Gagne, and you and Marty Jannetty, of course, the Midnight Rockers. Your career took off there. Tell us about some of your memories of Vern Gagne.
You know what? The first time, obviously, I was just thrilled to get the job. I not to continue to put you over, but again, through your magazines, I knew that the AWA, NWA, and WWF, WWF.
I did not own the magazines, by the way. I was the guy everybody knew.
Those of us that read them, that's in our mind, that's what it was. You had Stu Sachs, but
and Craig Peters. Don't forget Craig.
But so I mean, that was one of the big times to me, going up there. And meeting Vern the first time, Marty and I went in and had a meeting with him and presented him the idea. And he was a nice man, but he really did not grasp the concept of the Rockers. I mean, he was, older, obviously like I am now, but
he was that wrestler type. The Rockers.
He really was, and he was very much old school, very traditional, and he didn't get it, but he did. I mean, he did obviously let us go with it. Greg understood it. Greg got the younger generation, so to speak. And obviously from that point on, Marty and I did not exactly endear ourselves to a lot of people. We were young, we were having a lot of fun, and that
I was there, I know.
Yeah, that rubbed up against, again, the traditionalists and stuff like that, which I get it now. At the time, we felt like we were harmless, and I think we started out that way, and at some point, you cross the line doing stuff you probably shouldn't be doing.
So now The people, of course, always ask, does Shawn Michaels still talk to Marty Jannetty? Did they stay in touch?
Yeah. I get texts from Marty, every now and then, and it's just, we live worlds apart now,
Yeah.
obviously. But the wrestling business, people think I talk to Hunter every day, and I don't.
You don't?
No, yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, well,
I do. No,
he's
I don't.
busy, and I'm fairly busy here and there. But the wrestling business, you could you develop such a relationship with guys that it's something that stands the test of time. You cannot talk to one another for 6 months, a year, and then you see somebody
Oh,
again.
and you're all for, like you saw him yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's just
Guys
how,
can do that in the wrestling business. I'm not sure the girls can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not, I don't know, I don't know how the girls,
I know,
work with
I know.
one another either. But that's just how we are.
It's that family. It's that extended
It
family.
is, yeah. So as I say, I mean, at different times I'll get texts from him, or I'll text him, and whatever holidays, wishing each other,
Yeah. So he's
happy holidays.
created this incredible monster called NXT, which now seems to be taking on a life of its own.
Right.
The Performance Center is totally amazing. Tell us your take on what's going on as the WWE seems to be now progressing into so many different positive directions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the times that I've been there, I mean, I stay so out of the loop and out of touch with stuff, but every time I'm asked to go back, or I go to NXT, I mean, there's nothing but positive stuff going on. Everybody, the environment, this much I know, the environment that he's created, that Hunter's created there, is very positive. It's night and day. There's a huge difference from when I go to Raw.
Yeah.
The mood there and the mood at NXT.
Oh, sure.
And that's just and that's all due to Hunter. I mean,
Well, I always said
keeps
he's
you
an old
positive.
school guy in a new school world, and he knows how to balance.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does. He's, it's the same reason he was, enjoyable to hang out with. I mean, he's a positive dude. He's an encouraging guy. He's a hard worker, and there's not that much to dislike about him. Again, I get, anybody who's watching this, they're gonna feel like I'm biased, and clearly I am. But
You're allowed to be.
but still, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I guess it's one of those things. I never understand how, again, he can, in some respects, everybody can sort of define him as this horrible guy, but then when he's put in charge of something, everybody has positive stuff to say
Yeah.
about it, even his critics.
Yeah.
And somehow they can't, even though those two worlds can't jive. I mean, you can't be that bad of a person and do that good of a job, I don't think.
Yeah.
And so clearly,
Agreed.
there's got to be something amiss there, and there is. But to admit who made a mistake is going to hurt.
Some people-
some folks' credibility.
Well,
yeah.
some people just thrive on making positive situations into negatives.
Yeah, well, but and again, regardless, that's irrelevant. The people that are working for him, the young guys and girls that are underneath him and coming up in NXT thoroughly love it, and honestly, that's all that matters. When
Yeah.
when your talent is enjoying what they're doing, that's
the
a
best.
good, that's a good thing.
If you tomorrow felt like going back and having one more match, anyone on the roster, who would it be?
Ugh, oh man.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even know. There's obviously there's always everybody feels like it's always Daniel Bryan. I think.
Which, by the way, you were his mentor. I mean, I remember coming down to San Antonio when he was a puppy being trained by
Yes.
you.
Yeah. No way. I mean, heck, he was a hard worker and a good kid then.
Did you ever think he'd turn out to be
Well,
this mega superstar?
Well, look, and I can remember saying it to him and Brian Kendrick that look, you guys are very talented, and you're gonna have the same problem I had, which is people are gonna be concerned with your size, and that's and I believe that if you stick with it, that's talent. I told them what Ted DiBiase told me: talent will always rise to the top.
Yes.
So, but I don't think you can ever. I don't know. I don't think you can ever sort of you just know. I just judge somebody on their ability. I have no idea how the
yeah.
wrestling business is going to handle that ability from that
'Cause
point on.
none of us knew that he had this incredible personality going for him too. He was a quiet guy.
Yeah, he is, but he's a good kid, and also, I mean, and again, I know this probably bothers him, but there's some folks within the WWE that gave him some good advice.
Yeah.
About how about you do this or do that, and that that obviously has helped and caught on. But that's that's with everybody. I mean, everybody.
Sure,
It's a combination of takes a village.
So might he be the guy that you would have maybe come back against?
Well, no, I mean, there's him, there's Seth Rollins, there's Dean. I mean, I think those two young men are good. Back at one point there was Punk, but
Wow.
I mean, Sting,
yeah.
Sting's there now. I don't know if he's even wrestling another match. I mean, I never did the whole. I'd like to, I'd like to wrestle that guy. They always sort of, there was always sort of somebody, I guess, sort of picked or whatever.
Yeah,
for me to
we
go
want to
back
see.
and wrestle.
We think this would be great.
Yeah, at WrestleMania, and so, but I'm a horrible ex-pro wrestler. I don't thrive on the whole what ifs and the one mores and stuff like that.
Well, people
I
ask.
wouldn't have
me-
left if I wasn't ready to leave.
Yeah. So let's bring that into complete circle now. Tell us about your family.
They're wonderful.
How is Whisper, Rebecca, your lovely wife?
She's good.
Used to be a Nitro girl. That's
Yeah.
in case you don't know.
Yep. Now she's just the mom.
Yeah.
and as she says, taking care of the enterprise that is her husband, which she does a phenomenal job. She homeschools the kids.
How old are the kids?
15, and Cheyenne will be 11 in August, and boy starts driver's ed next week, and
Oh my God.
yeah. But it's awesome. I mean, we got a gazillion animals, and it's a wonderful experience,
great.
and
That's great.
we just do our own thing and hang out with each other, and just trying to raise two decent human beings.
A gazillion animals.
Well, maybe not a gazillion, but we've got a fair amount.
Does he know the words to talk to the animals yet?
Nope, not yet.
I will send it to you.
My daughter handles most of that, and my wife. Our daughter is the one. It starts with dogs, and then cats, and then guinea pigs, and then tadpoles, and then goats, and then horses. Now she wants a dairy cow. So right now Rebecca's talked. I mean, she's shut her down on that one, but it won't be long. It won't be long before the
I'm a
cows
critter
start
person,
coming.
so I totally get it.
Yeah.
I have a poodle. I'd have 5,000 of them if I could. So, tell us about the stuff you're doing on TV currently now.
I do my hunting show, and
where can people the name of it and where can people
it's
see it?
Shawn Michaels McMillan River Adventures. It's on Outdoor Channel, and there are other little projects. I mean, I just got off one, although I'm not supposed to talk about it yet until they're finished
We won't.
wrapping. But that was fun. It was my first time doing it, and if more opportunities come, I'd love to do it. Doing the book, obviously.
Well, that's
the
the
book
next
tour.
one.
That's something I'm proud of. I mean, it's it made the New York Times bestsellers list with absolutely no help from the WWE, and I don't mean that in a critical way.
No,
It
but
wasn't advertised. My first book that was advertised, on Raw and things of that nature, didn't even do that. And this obviously it was a far more intimate form, far more in detailed. I think sort of
about your
my walk of faith.
yeah.
I
But now
guess,
there's one.
honestly.
There's one. After reading this, there's one thing that resonated with me, and it was the Undertaker's quote talking about you coming back from the depths of hell, so to say, and that just gave me the chills, because I've known you for so many years, and when I saw that and I knew the person you were before you giving yourself over to religion here, and in so many ways it's two different people.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that's why, at first, I'd had Hunter, asked him to write a forward, and sure. And then, of course, I just asked Steve and Taker and a couple other folks. It just asked me, like, would you mind? They're like, no, of course. And both Steve and Taker's were so moving. And of course, and only because, Steve had got his back to us before. Everyone read that, and they're like, gosh, that's got to go as a forward now, too. That's got to go to more than just a dedication.
Yeah.
And then they read Taker's, and they're like, man, these guys have really made it tough. You can't have a book with 3 different forwards, but I'm so happy about the relationships I have with those guys now, especially compared to where those relationships were years
In the
ago.
past, of course.
And so I mean, honestly, it's a bit mushy, I guess, for a wrestling book and things like that. But that's one of the things. The thing is that's where I'm at in my life, and I'm secure with the fact that that's where I'm at in my life. I'm again, and that's why I never, I think people feel like I walked away from the wrestling business or stepped away, and I'm out of touch now because he tries to be in it. It's no, that's just where my life and my heart and all that have taken me. My life is more about the relationship with my wife and children and the people in my life, and so anyway, I wanted to put that on paper, and it seems to have resonated with with a lot of people.
Yeah,
Like I said,
it
makes the New
resonated
York
with me.
Times
It really did.
bestsellers list, and
You're
that's pretty
content
cool.
now. You're at peace with yourself and with life.
Yeah, and
all that matters.
I'm good with whatever comes my way. I'm not trying to force, I guess, so to speak, another career or whatever. I mean, I truly, my wife. It's funny, the other day, we were talking, and he's like, she says it's just funny, you walked away, and then you've got the opportunity to go back and be paid handsomely to do something one time.
Yeah,
To go back and do
yeah,
something one time, but
yeah.
you'd rather go for 3 weeks, get paid almost nothing, and do something else. She said, I just want you to do what makes you happy. You're a creative person. You need to dive into, I want to try new stuff. I want to be
creative. I mean, that's those
stimulated
juices.
in a different way than I was before. And believe it or not, even though there's, obviously, what you see before you was nothing but, a redneck. There is stuff, that goes on inside here, artsy fartsy stuff that I'd like to try to do. And
Like
so
what? Are you an artist?
No, not that. Just from the, from being, open and honest, and sharing a big part of yourself, in a book, and even that silly hunting show, I guess, that I do. But I'm just saying,
A lot of people watch it.
Well, but the thing is, I think people, it's almost like they just understand. They just, all they hear is the hunting part. They don't understand that in that show we show a great deal of our lives. Both Keith and I are very faith-filled guys, and it's real. I don't play the Heartbreak Kid on that show, and sometimes
There's no sexy hunter.
Right? Yeah. Sometimes it goes good. Sometimes it doesn't.
So wait. Now I have to ask you a controversial question.
right.
And these interviews are generally not controversial.
All right.
Now I got to ask you a controversial.
Sure.
You got all these animals at home,
Mm-hmm.
and you're out hunting. So how does that translate to the family? The message.
Not everybody hunts.
Okay.
Everybody in
okay.
the family hunts.
I'm just curious.
Well, you know what? I mean, we understand. I mean, we understand. My brother's a wildlife biologist. We understand how all of that works. You don't do. People run the majority of their lives when it comes to animals on pure emotion, as opposed to every other aspect.
Yeah.
They don't run all their life on emotion. If they do, it probably doesn't go well. It's logic. Animals need to be controlled. The numbers need to be controlled. Like in Texas, we have a ranch. We have a wildlife biologist. You have to take out this many animals,
Right,
and
right.
so it's people will argue all day long about doing this, that, and the other. But if you don't, if you have 500 acres, for instance, and you have more than about 50, animals on that land, there's somebody's not eating well, and somebody's going to die, and somebody's going to starve, and then the young ones are going to kill the older ones because they get old and they get slow. And I've watched, again, the Disney version of, the circle of life is much nicer than I've seen it in real life. And I believe, an animal, certainly like me, I'd rather have a bullet put in the back of my head
Then be eaten.
Yeah, or
Okay,
die slowly.
All right. Exactly. Well, I really wasn't going there with this interview. But when you mentioned about all the animals at the house.
Well, and that's the thing. Even people find that confusing. Like, how can you be an animal over on one hand and then hunt on the other? And then, and also you have to understand. I am not ashamed, and I know where I stand on the food chain, and that's the top.
Okay.
I mean that's how the world is.
All right.
They're here for us. Not the other way around.
Last question, we were talking about being content and because of your religious beliefs and putting all the negativity behind you. Once and for all here on the Apter Chat, everything with you and Bret Hart at this point is cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We're actually, I think 2 weeks. We're doing stuff over in the UK together. Appearances,
yes.
and Jim Ross will be there. But I mean, we see each other all the time. I mean, when at events and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it is, and it is really good. I mean, it's nice to, and again, sometimes on TV, you do stuff just for TV, and then it's like, you still really don't like each other. But no, it's very nice. I mean, we text each other every now and then. On holidays, he's always. Very nice,
That's great.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I just want to put that to rest for you people watching the Apter Chat here.
You don't put anything totally to rest in the wrestling business. Doesn't matter.
No,
what
you
we
don't.
say on
It
here.
always comes by. So Shawn Michaels, Wrestling for My Life. You can get this at your favorite bookstore. You can go to Amazon or your favorite bookseller. Whatever, and it's a great read, and it really, as I mentioned, just delves into a part of this man that a lot of you just didn't know existed.